right, thank you for opening the video. I'm John Ford. This is Progressive Insider. I am here today with a guest. I've been doing this delegate series. This is technically going to be number 3. I'm here today with Tim Butler from Pennsylvania. He was a delegate.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you, Tim. He was a delegate in 2016, and he's on the delegate slate in 2020 for Bernie Sanders. Again, thank you for being here, Tim.
Oh, absolutely, Don. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. We were just having a delightful off-the-cuff talk where we used up a huge chunk of our time. We're going to make sure that video in some amount is going to be available either in parts of this interview or in some kind of Patreon, behind the scenes. Definitely not. It was a good conversation, not for everyone. But that's how this stuff goes, right, Tim?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but, to be honest, people have to know what the DNC is really up to and where their vote really matters and why we're upset with our government. So upset that we're getting involved. And I think that's really the thing.
People are actually taking their Saturdays and they're actually getting out there and really making a difference. But it's more than just a Saturday for a delegate. You had to get signatures. You had to get on the ballot. You had to go to a convention and deal with 2016. Let's talk about real fast delegate. Everyone keeps asking about the delegate. Before we get into the DNC and all this stuff, you had to do the delegate process. Explain to me the delegate process in Pennsylvania.
So this is my 4th time running for office. I've ran for delegate before in 2016, and I ran for committee person, and I actually ran for county treasurer last year and came really close. The delegate process, you run for office, point blank. You collect more signatures than a lot of other positions, 250 in Pennsylvania. We try to get about 400 or more just because petitions do get challenged.
That's a real commitment. 200. I only had to get 40 petitions to run for county committee, and I just did it to get my ballot designation. I didn't even really run for office. It was a huge pain. You had to get 200 to 400, you said, right?
Yeah, if they challenge your petition, every signature on there has to be somewhat legible, 1. 2, has to be someone living in that district you're running in on the county, because I'm running in 3 counties. I have 3 different petitions. So if somebody signs who's in my district but didn't write on the right county, that can get tossed out in court. It's very unlikely that a delegate is going to get their petitions challenged unless they have a very, very low number. But it has to go to court. And within that week in a 2020 election, it's not really plausible. But for other campaigns, it could happen, especially if it's a highly contested race. If hypothetically, if it was already Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, then yeah, we would have probably contested their petitions or challenged the Joe Biden petitions just to see where they're at if they were legitimate, because there's only 2 candidates. So it's definitely a commitment.
That's an amazing amount of work, and it seems like this is what you're talking about, how upset you are at the system, that you're willing to go through all these things and jump through all these whole hoops and potentially be challenged in court, which is we've seen happen in other states and other races, and it can be the death of a progressive campaign and a lot of pressure for legal costs, among other things. But okay, so you're on the ballot, and you guys don't actually have your election for a little bit, so you had to get on the ballot in advance of the actual election process?
So you have to get approval by the campaign. Then the campaign sends that list to the DNC of Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania State Party. They approve it, and then you get to run as a delegate. Then you go and get your petitions. Then you can go and you only have a 3-week window. Now, it's interesting to note that in past elections, you had to get every petition notarized. But this time around, we didn't have to get petitions notarized at all, and it made the process a lot easier.
You have to get 250 petitions notarized? Don't you have to pay for the individual? Don't you have to be like your own notary to do that?
So in past elections, we would have a notary party basically at the end of the signature cycle. Like if petitions are due Tuesday, that Saturday or Sunday before, we would have a petition notarization party and have a couple notaries there to do the whole process. But this time around, I had to go to the State Department of Pennsylvania, 3 times to figure out exactly what the Bernie campaign needs to do, what I need to do as a delegate, 1. 2, what the Bernie campaign needs to do, because they have page numbering to figure out on page 64, side 1, we're challenged, if they were to challenge it or to reference a signature, the level of, it was a very tedious process that I had to number a lot of the petitions for candidates in Pennsylvania. And I did number 700 of the 900 pages of Bernie petitions in Pennsylvania. Like, I spent 2 days with the campaign and the other staff, the real staffers who traveled out of state to number Bernie's actual petitions and make sure that they were turned into the State Department correctly, because the State Department they had big sticks up their rears. I mean, just to get candidates on the ballot. I mean, as a basic principle.
You guys are a Democratic state, right? You
Purple.
Purple, but you have a governor, right? That's Democrat, and you're a lieutenant governor, because we had a Bernie-crat win in the lieutenant governor seat, right?
Yeah, John Fetterman. He hasn't really come out in favor of Bernie since being elected, which kind of worries me. I mean, he has back in about 2011 or so, when he was mayor of Braddock, Pennsylvania, I think he had a bad record with fracking. But I mean, I'm always willing to forgive. Us progressives, we're kind of willing to forgive if they're making the right signs and the right movement forward. So
I didn't know fracking was always bad. I didn't know. I mean, I know
of course
fracking is bad. So a lot of people didn't know that it was bad. That's why they agreed.
He thought it was a jobs. He thought it was purely a jobs thing, and that's why he did it. So, but I haven't seen him tout Bernie really since the last few years, and that kind of worries me. He says I'm a Tom Wolf Democrat. Our governor.
Oh, well, that's interesting, because they ran as a slate in order to get elected once he went through the primary. That's how it works there. So I could definitely see the pressure coming to him from his state leadership to be a certain way, to be the way that they want him to be, or else he can't get anything done, because ultimately they have power. There's strings involved.
He cut his beard and he's wearing a suit now. That's the joke, because he's a very blue collar. Well, I mean, he didn't shave it, but he cut it. So he used to have this long, like when we talk about people being true themselves sometimes. I mean, I used to have long hair in high school, but believe it or not, and he's a very not your clear coat, cookie cutted politician. I mean, he's really much a public servant, and he's very intelligent. You wouldn't know it by just looking at him, but to see him wearing a suit nonetheless versus his short jeans and Dickie shirt, kind of crew cut. He did set a different tone for what it means to be public servant. Bernie Sanders isn't a politician; he's a public servant, and I still think the same way about John Fetterman. I'm just worried when people go away from their roots. So when Bernie crowd gets him elected, it's like, is he really staying true to his base that got him elected, or his enthusiastic supporters?
Here's the question. Do they feel like they need the base anymore when they have the backing of the governor who got through the primary in the first place? Because if he acts like, and this is where we run into problems with the establishment, right? How they absorb people top and bottom. We get someone in this lieutenant governor situation. Well, they are kind of put under the thumb of even AOC and Nancy Pelosi in a certain way. We see this element where Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, and AOC can only go against her so far. The DCCC is a different mess. Go after them all day long. But when it comes to the actual Speaker, it's a little different. And that's where we run into these power shifts that are a little hard to explain to progressives, but we definitely witness them. But I notice you have another button on your chest. I assume that's a congressional candidate. You want to tell me about him?
So, yes, over here I have Bernie, Pennsylvania, the logo of Pennsylvania, the state outline. And then I have Tom Breyer running for the 10th Congressional District here in Pennsylvania. Check out his website, Breyer, B-R-I-E-R. He's not taking a dime of corporate PAC money. He's for the Green New Deal. He is taking on the Democratic establishment. He's taking on our state's auditor general, which is a pretty big deal. And in the debate, they've had 2 debates. In the state auditor general cannot is wish-washy on policy when it comes right down to it. He doesn't know if he's for the Green New Deal. He's taking corporate PAC money, can't explain why. Taking fossil fuel money, can't explain why. He's not, like, it's a really weird situation because our current Auditor General has called out the fraud, waste, and abuse of the Catholic Church and of financial institutions and Equifax and the Penn State and extorting money from students like myself. Like, I think it's a really good thing. But as a congressional candidate, our current Auditor General is not towing the line when it comes to paving new policy. I mean, I would put it that way. And the thing is Tom Breyer's 2 years, I'm just a volunteer. He's 2 years younger than me and a lawyer, and has written a book about why reason slept. It's a constitutional book and stuff like that. But it's definitely an interesting play with the young candidates popping up and shaping the future of Pennsylvania. Between me, Cole Goodman, who's a little bit more centrist in a lot of ways. He's progressive, but he's centrist. Tom Breyer. We have Danielle. We have Brittany, who's 25, 26. All of us are under 30. And so it's like really interesting to see this new under 30 power dynamic once we all get, the joke is once we all get elected, if we get elected. But
is that what it always comes down to at the end of the day, right? You actually have to get the job done.
And what kind of future we believe in. And because I think the majority of us, once we're in a room, we can like actually negotiate and figure out like why Medicare for all is an economic and moral. Tom Breyer likes to talk about morality, about the Green New Deal, about why it's moral to have healthy air for our planet's future. And we can argue the same thing about Medicare for all being a moral choice of having a population that lives longer, has cheaper insurance, reasons for people wanting to go see the doctor when they feel that they need to. Now I know I'm beating the drum a bit, but.
No, you're being fine. I think you're making a great point. These are all, it is a moral thing. I just think there's a funny argument going on because we've been doing this. How we all talk about MMT and like you hear those MMT people and they're really obnoxious. Well, I did doing an interview series with Warren Mosler, who's the grandfather of MMT, and he has been explaining to me what it means and how all those people that you're annoyed by have been actually saying something incorrectly this whole time. And so, I know, right? I saw your face. And so it turns out that they have been saying something wrong that is not MMT, and it's very ironic. But it comes down to this idea. I'm not going to say what they're saying wrong because it's really complicated. It's a whole other conversation because I want to get back to the delegates before you have to leave.
Yeah.
Is that it's all a giant investment. Any money spent on your population is an investment. So,
of course.
So it's a savings in your people. So it's not a matter of moral imperative. It's a matter of financial investment because the worker is what increases the GDP, and the GDP is the basis for all things that really matter and whether or not our country is being successful on a world market.
And when I ran for county treasurer, I was in favor of, it's all up to the county commissioners, really, what the law is. And as a treasurer, you just kind of follow their orders. But I was advocating for lowering the property tax from 6% to 1% and replacing it with a progressive income tax that will level the playing field. Because we have a lot of schools here that aren't getting funded correctly.
I'd like to talk to you more about that. I don't want to get into that right now because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, of course.
But I want to talk to you more about that, and we're going to have you back on. We're doing this morning, daytime thing. We're going to have like guests come on and talk about things like this because just quickly, like 5-10 minutes here and there during the streams. But what I want to get to with you right now, what I want to get to is this delegate. Let's wrap up this delegate idea. So you run as a slate. The slate puts the campaign up, or excuse me, the campaign puts the slate up. But then they have more people than are necessarily going to be based on the population. It's based on 100% of the vote is how many delegates you have right now. And so giant slates of people, and not everyone is going to go if you have two candidates running.
Right. So we have technically 7 candidates and 1 alternate, so 8 altogether. But we're choosing to run as a slate, but we're not actually a slate. We're picked on how many votes we get individually in relation to how much the candidate that we are committed to gets. So let's say last time.
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's not a real slate in the sense there are other candidates running. It's just a slate in the sense that you only have one group of people to vote from, and based on the popular vote, how many?
Yes. I mean, you're right on that. It's like Slate, but not slate. Yeah.
It's like
I mean, like
capital S,
you're
little
right. Yeah.
s, basically.
So a good example was last time Hillary Clinton got 55% of, I mean, it was like 53% and 47 for Bernie, so, about that. And it was close enough to 50-50. We had 6 delegates last time total. So it was really 3 Hillary delegates and 3 Bernie delegates go to the convention last time. So to kind of put it in perspective for the average person, it was so close to a 50-50. They called it for 50-50. And that's why 3 delegates from each campaign went.
That's important to recognize, guys, for everyone watching. These delegates work on these threshold ideas. And when you look into the rules, we can actually, this is why the Colorado, Utah, California results being delayed is total horseshit, because we kind of can guesstimate, because it's already an estimate on where these delegates are going to be. They're just not telling us to not tell us at this moment.
Yeah, it's about 16, for every 16% is the value of a delegate, of a vote.
Right, and then it rounds up based on if there's a loose delegate, depending on who's divided. Thank you.
And the thing is our hotel, like the thing is once you have to go to the hotel, but right now we're raising money for the hotel. That's really the key of all of this is airfare and a hotel. And in 2016, the average cost was about $3,000. This time I'm guessing to be about $4,000 per delegate. And our hotel, we don't know which one it is yet. We know the county. It's in Illinois. It's not in Milwaukee. It's not in Wisconsin. It's an hour south that we have to travel time. So it's about 2-hour travel time for a good chunk of the delegates in 2020. So, I mean, it's just something that people need to be, upset and angry about, for all the right reasons, but don't take them out. I mean, I get flustered sometimes about the Democratic Party, and it's like, is this really worth it? It's like, no, you had, for me, I had 50,000 people in the last 4 years vote for me, like that's not nothing. So I think we just got to keep our head straight, figure out what our plan is, and breathe. I mean,
oh, what a good idea. What a good idea. I'm going to propose something to you. I've been working on an idea. As you know, I've been kind of involved with the delegate fundraising. I didn't do all this to toot my own horn today, but I have an idea. And this is for you guys specifically, because there's a real fact with your deadline, with your election, is in April.
Right.
The convention's in June. That's not a lot of time to fundraise. It's not.
It's July, but yeah.
July, thank you. Sorry. I feel like we're going to have this done in June. But July, wishful thinking. So in July, we're going. So it's not a lot of time to fundraise, only a couple months. Last time we had a much later convention, and the elections I feel like they were a little earlier. We knew who the delegates were earlier, and we had more time to fundraise. We're just not going to have it this time in everything.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have 2,000 delegates at once. So with you guys, it's so important that we do start fundraising before we have confirmed delegates. On the estimate, it's going to be essentially a 50-50 split. Hopefully it'll be better, but we know at least 3 to 4 of your delegates are going to have to go, depending on who gets the alternate or the popular vote delegate.
Right, and what people can do is they can go to GoFundMe's website and type in Bernie Delegates PA10, because that's the congressional district. It's within the top search, top 4 searches. It's a black banner that says Pennsylvania for Bernie. We've raised $500 so far. Our goal is 10,000. Just so we could pay for everybody's way and represent democracy.
Because basically, guys, so everyone understands, in order to pay for 3 delegates at $3,500 a pop, that's $10,500, and that's not going to include all the hidden costs and the extra things and living. Because you got to keep in mind, this isn't just a week. It's like a week, but it's actually much more than a week. The organizing plus the recovery. Because let's be honest, this is like going to Bernie, man. You don't just start up at your job the next day. You need a couple days, and this is really the psychological impact. Because people aren't just being delegates; they're being representatives in our party. They're pushing. They're going to keep pushing to make sure we win in the general election. I mean, even Tim here, he is a Bernie bro. Looks like, by all intents and purposes, but he voted for Hillary Clinton in one of the most critical states. So this
because Bernie told me to. That's my only excuse.
Bernie told you to. So you're saying that some Bernie supporters did listen to Bernie when it came to voting for the candidate.
88% of them, and it's interesting because we get a lot of flack for not voting for Hillary or whatever the case might be, but only 78% of Hillary voters in 2008 voted for Obama. 22% voted for McCain. So when you talk about party loyalty, Bernie fans and Bernie supporters and voters have it.
Yeah, the data supports that we are statistically more loyal to the party than the Hillary voters have been in the past. Keep in mind, a lot of these voters, too, that we're having issues with all came over when the whole Republican Party really went anti-gay really intensely, even though they always were, because we had log cabin Republicans. I'm not sure if that's an offensive term to use or what, but we had those, and they all moved to the Democratic Party. And these are the people we're talking about, because they were already Republicans. And like, McCain's not that bad in their minds. And so that's why.
And something I really hope that happens, it's not going to happen, because we never actually, like, the thing is, we never actually delegated with the Hillary camp and said, here's the math that shows why Bernie's going to be a better president than Hillary Clinton. This is her vote. This is the economic outcome of it. This is Bernie's vote. This is the economic outcome of it. I really want to do this with Joe Biden. Say, hey, this is your vote. This is the economic implications of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, DOMA, Anita Hill, the Patriot Act, deregulating the banks. Like
college debt.
Yeah,
I mean, still get it bankrupt. By the way, that is a little bit of fallacy, but it's still his fault that we can't do it as easily, and it's allowed interest, because not being allowed to go to bankruptcy easily is creating no market cap. So the market can charge as much as they want, and there's no way for people to say, well, I won't pay that because it's too much, because now they can't go bankrupt. That's what kept the market in line, is you had to have the public sector, keep the private sector in line.
And that's just the thing, is that we don't get to actually delegate and have those conversations at the convention to come out of a room. I honestly, I would lock ourselves in there for eternity till we come out with a solid solution of why everybody agrees or doesn't agree with Bernie or with Joe. I mean, and figure out, at the end of it, what the plurality is.
The problem is that so many people that are supporting Joe are just more about keeping things the way they are. They just don't want to change, and they feel like Joe will just maintain it. Also, keep in mind, Joe is the person that showed up at the DNC after Obama won and told everyone that Debbie Wasserman Schultz was going to be the chair.
Yeah.
That's real.
They don't understand that it's do or die. We get Joe Biden in there, climate change is totally screwed up. We're not going to rein in the fossil fuel industries. We're not going to go to carbon neutral by 2050. I'm not Joe's psychologist, but I wish I knew what was going on in his brain to figure out why he thinks the way he does.
I'm convinced the wheel with the mouse on it is still running. So, and I hate to say that a lot of this depends on being able to prove that we're in a Ronald Reagan being reelected phase.
Oh yeah. But the delegates need to realize what is they don't understand what's at stake, some of them. They don't understand that this isn't, nothing's normal. And if you have Joe Biden again, we're going to get Trump again. Like, you put a centrist candidate, you're going to get George H.W. Bush. You put a centrist candidate against W. Bush, you're going to get W. Bush. John Kerry, same thing. Hillary Clinton, same thing. So, I mean, I don't see why the establishment Democrats don't see the writing on the wall that they're going to lose if they don't have enough Bernie delegates to actually represent the party.
Well, unfortunately, Tim, the answer to that is not going to make you any happier, because we know the answer to that. Yeah. The answer is, and you know the answer too. You're making that look. The camera doesn't pick you up unless you talk, so don't be afraid to squeal. So the point is that their investment is not in the party necessarily succeeding. They make money whether we win or lose. There's a saying in Florida with the consultants there is that business is good when Democrats are losing. So there's no investment in them to actually make sure we win.
Right, which I economically, I don't understand if they're trying to grow the party, if their goal is to have more membership in the party.
Their goal is, you got to stop yourself right there. The goal is not to have more membership in the party, because every time you have more membership or more people vote in the primary, then you get more DNC seats. You get more things they have to control, more situations where other people can become, voice to the voiceless. They're trying to stop that.
Yeah. and they would go extinct. I mean, we really need a third party. And it's like a faux pas right now that we're running as a third party in the Democratic Party, because if this was a people's, Bernie should have started a people's party a long time ago, to be honest.
Well, you know how I feel about that. I believe we're going through a purge phase, and I think that you got to flip that around. Flip that around with me, Tim, okay? The point is not that we're running as a third party, is that we had a group take over our party. That group came over, and what it was these soft Republicans that don't want to be racist. True. They want gay marriage. They wanted all these things. They came over to the party, and they're much better, because they're conservative. They're much better at showing up to meetings and going to things than we are. We think democracy should be automatic. They're like, well, fuck you. You have to show up. And so this is why they make the process like you're dealing with so difficult, because they want to keep young people out, because young people don't want to wait in line to vote.
Yeah, they feel like it's their own corporation, but they have nobody buying their product.
Yeah, but the thing is that when you only need a quorum of one, you can still cash those big checks, and that's back into that consultant lawyer game that we're trying to unwind. And that's why what you're doing as a delegate, Tim, is so important. And I do believe that if we get all the delegates there, we're in a strong position to really make a difference and even win.
Oh, absolutely. Process. Yeah, we can win Pennsylvania and New York. It's just getting part of the campaign here, too. I mean, like, the delegates can do so much, but we don't have resources for a field office and boat builder. I mean, like, crucial campaign things to win successfully. I mean, Bernie won 30 out of 67 counties in Pennsylvania in 2016. Like, that just blows my mind.
It feels like we should be able to improve on that.
Exactly. And other states that he like Maine, it didn't make sense on Super Tuesday. Maine, Texas was close, really close. I just hope that the delegates that come in from California really overshadow the other states that he lost.
Well, the thing is that it's really important is I can count on, I mean, I don't know what's going on with our caucus process. Like, we're supposed to have our caucus locations in the next 2 weeks, I think. Those are usually pretty last minute. So as long as we have our caucus locations, I'm pretty sure we're going to have enough delegates, people show up, and that's what really matters. That was one thing we didn't have a shortage of in California, was people who wanted to be delegates in 2016. There were a lot of them. I didn't even run because there were like 60 people in my district last time.
And are you still waiting to find out if you're going to be a delegate, or you didn't get enough?
I applied on the show the other day to show how easy it is in California, because we don't need anything. We just fill out a piece of paper and show up.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me about that, and they nominate you.
Like, you.
Yeah.
The caucus thing. It's a caucus. It's a giant caucus. We invite a bunch of people. I'll give my speech about doing this and negotiating the superdelegate reform and bring proof of all my work. And it'll be a good time to start like pushing back on the California people who like to say, I don't talk to people like you.
And I think that's an interesting dilemma from 2,000 some 100 miles away, of the party structure in each state is different. And like this, like that's a really cool thing about the scientific method, is you can put one policy, one formula against another formula and see which is the better outcome. Do we just straight up have somebody give a speech and then we vote for him? Is that a good formula? Or do we show, I don't like the signature process, but it shows dedication. It shows persistency.
It grows the party.
Like, I mean, it's the part, yeah, those are party rules, but it's like, do I want someone who just got voted in by popular contest, or do I want someone that did work for 3 weeks and was able to prove themselves? Now, the signature process is its own conundrum, and there's a lot of flaws in it. But as far as like on a black and white scale, how are we going? State party ran, but
well, I'll give you an example.
I think it's an interesting dilemma.
The version of it we deal with in California that's slightly different, and we're going to wrap this up here in just 1 second.
Yeah.
Is that the California thing is that you still get to give a speech, and you have like a setup. So it's like a couple hours, people come and they like talk to all the delegates. So you get to like build it's like a science fair basically.
Okay.
And so you build your little booth and you make your thing and you entice people in. And usually your booth setup with where you are is really your location in the booth is really important. And like how many people see you and people are drawn to you. So I'm going to be like reaching out to people like yourself to get endorsements for delegate. You know, I'm still gonna have to do similar to a petition process, right? I'm gonna have to reach out to people all over the country and show that I'm the person, because we only get to send 2 men from our district. It's 2 men and 1 woman right now. So I have to prove to the people that are coming to vote that I need to go, that I am a person that needs to be there to negotiate whatever is going to go on, and that's how it works.
And part of the reason I'm fundraising is that 3-week period where you have to get hundreds of signatures. Some people take off work. Some people, like for me, I did it before I went to work. I had a lot of help this time around, and last time a little bit as well. But, you know, if I just go up there for let's say hypothetically 1 day, have the science fair, get to meet and shake hands and tell everybody about myself, it's over in that day. And for us, it's a 3-week grueling process. And I didn't really, I didn't assume that I was going to be a delegate this time around. I just waited until I got my petition because I never know what was going to be absolute. So I didn't really count on it till the day before you go out and get petition signatures. But there's a lot of people who work 60, 70 hours a week, and they're running because they work so hard and they care about the country. But to do all the working process, that's why I think we need to have paid people in the future to do the signature roundabouts every year. It should be committee people from each county party to do that. I mean, like, that's what they should be assigned to do. So, I mean, we could talk about that more next time. I think
I like that. I like the way that sounds. Next time. Yeah, there will be a next time, Tim
Of
Butler.
course.
I was, you know, really great having you on here. So we're gonna do this little wrap up real fast. This is how it goes. Tim.
Yes.
You're amazing. Thank you.
You're amazing.
Oh, well, I wish I could prove it as easily as you could, because that ballot process is really something. I am so grateful that you took the time and did the work to be the difference in Pennsylvania, not only now, but in 2016. I've seen you guide people and direct people into what they need to do, and I really appreciate that, especially young people taking the reins and being the difference. So again, I am looking forward to having you on the show. You're going to come back, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I have a GoFundMe. You go to GoFundMe, you type in Bernie, Pennsylvania 10, and it will number 10, and it will show up as our fundraiser for the 8 delegates running for Bernie Sanders in Pennsylvania. We really need and support the help.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. And please donate to these GoFundMes. If you do want to look for them, and all the GoFundMes that we have available, they are on the Progressive Insider website. There's only like 3 pages right now on our website, and one of them is dedicated completely to delegates and gathering the information that should be there. If you think we've missed something, please send us a line, and we will make our change. At the same time, Progressive Insider is hosting its first fundraiser. We're having T-shirts and a bunch of other things coming out that's going to be brand spanking new all month as we get closer to our big, I don't know what we're calling it, but our launch, the official launch of everything we're doing. So I'm Don Ford. This has been Progressive Insider. Thank you for enjoying the video, and please donate to your delegates. We need to make sure that every single one gets.
When we talk about dinosaurs in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, you don't mean a dino, you mean literally a fucking, she might be oil if you hit her right. I got it.
That really cracked me up.